You're listening to the Beer Craft Beer and Brewing Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific for a dose of beer and brewing banter with your hosts, Ben Holm and Andrew Ziegler.
So hop aboard for some wit and wisdom in the Pacific Northwest, because it's always beer 30 on
The Beer Craft. Welcome back to the Beer Craft. I'm Ben Holm.
And I'm Andrew Ziegler.
And today we're kicking open the keg on one of the most controversial topics in brewing. Everything you think you know about beer might be wrong.
We're talking dark beers that aren't strong, IPAs that aren't bitter, and why your Uncle Rick is lying about skunked beer.
And we're taking on color, foam, cans, yeast sediment, fermentation, temperature, and something we like to call the Great IBU Scam.
21 beer myths, one podcast episode. Let's see what blows up.
We'll taste, we'll test, and maybe ruin a few good pairs of pants along the way.
I didn't agree to that.
Sure you did. It was in the show notes, right between malt extract and blowtorch.
Well then.
You're listening to The Beer Craft, the show that takes beer as seriously as a hydrometer in a kiddie pool.
Oh, don't break that glass. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this week's episode of Beer 30.
Andrew, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing good, Ben. What's up? What's up?
It's
Wednesday again.
Another Wednesday. The sun is shining.
I am getting thirsty.
That's good because I brought beer.
Good deal. I'm liking that.
We have today, I scrounged around the shop and had some homebrew. It's a show about beer and homebrewing your beer.
Right.
Beer, so we probably should drink some of that once in a while.
Let's go drink some. Uh-oh. You better get it in the glass. Oh. Wow. Yeah, it's a little blowed.
Yeah. That
It's
one
all right. A little carbonated.
Came out aggressive.
A little carbonated.
Yeah, I got a couple of
highly carbonated here.
A couple of them we're going to clean up in Studio 2. It's not Studio 2. There's only one studio.
Clean up in Studio Z.
That's right. Studio B for beer.
Studio B.
There you go.
Oh,
I got a couple.
There's more utensils over there.
There sure is. We'll get a fresh one.
Get a freshie. Okay, do you remember what this beer was?
It is called the Spring Fling. It
Spring
is
Fling.
Supposed to be a cream ale.
Cream ale.
Oh, that's
okay.
I am not sure who brewed this one. It was dropped off, and I neglected to write down the brewer's name. So if you're listening and you remember bringing a
cream
Spring
ale,
Fling, bringing a Spring Fling and an octopus ink back to the shop, well, this one's for you.
This one's yours.
A little darker than I remember the
recipe. A bit darker than a what? A cream ale? Well, a cream ale doesn't really define the color, does it?
Well, I wrote the recipe, and it was supposed to be blonde.
It was supposed to be blonde. Okay. It could be like we're talking tonight. This is our first taste into the myth of beers. A cream ale that could be brown.
It could be. Yeah.
Not all IPAs are straw colored.
So this one's supposed to be Hallertauer Blanc. It's got Pearl for bittering, Hallertauer Blanc, and lemongrass. It's supposed to be very lemon forward. I get a little bit of that.
It's very good. It doesn't taste dark at all. There is no roast. I don't taste any sweetness from unfermented.
Very dry.
Sugars.
I'm wondering if this was an extract version. Sometimes extract beers can turn out a little bit darker if you boil, doing a partial volume boil with 100% of the extract in there. Those can be a little bit darker than...
Right, you get that Maillard reaction.
Yep. Otherwise, dry, crispy, enjoyable.
Yep. We need an episode on vocabulary. How to say these words correctly.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I assume I'm doing it right, but I could be wrong.
That'd be fun. It would be a very boring show. Definition. Maybe it should be a segment.
You know what word I get a lot, and I know I'm not fucking this one up. I hear carboil a lot.
Carboil.
Instead of carboy, it's carboil.
Huh.
It's probably like at least one person a month
We'll
comes
say
into
a
the shop
carboil.
says, I need a 5-gallon carboil. Like, that's weird. That you
That's
would
like
call
a
it
combination.
That.
It's a combination of words.
Yeah.
Which is really weird.
So that one is weird, so maybe a glossary show would be appropriate. But then I'd have to confirm. Am I saying Hallertauer correctly? Am I saying Tettnang or...
Tettnang. I used to say Tettnanger.
Well, I've seen that one too.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what is the right way?
Tettnang or Tettnanger. Maybe they're two different strains of the Tettner.
Yeah. I've heard Simcoe and Simcoe. That's an interesting one.
Well, yeah, that's a trademark name.
Right. So
you need to say that correctly.
We got the knockoff version of that. Let's see if there's this other half, if it survives as well. Because I only got a half a beer for Beer 30 today. Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
It's still
So
dark.
aggressive.
I like to pour with vigor.
You do.
I do. I like
Spring Fling.
I like a big head on my beer.
220.25.
Yeah, it's
It's pretty recent.
Yeah, I wrote this. I wrote the recipe and came up with a kit last spring.
Okay.
I wanted something, light and easy. I was playing around with Hallertauer Blanc. It's probably one of my last year's favorite hops that I got to bring in. It's a fun little hop, lemongrass flavors to it.
Not really getting much of the lemongrass. Maybe that's in that middle tongue feel. Yeah.
Yep. The first version I had it was nicely pronounced.
Kind of goes with the bittering.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a nice head on it.
Yeah, excellent carbonation. It's a little bit darker though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take a picture of that. And maybe one
It's
of our
really
listeners
good.
will recognize his custom label here. I say custom label because it's blue tape. It's
Blue
great.
tape.
Blue tape. Got to work for it. Works for everything.
Number 2095.
2025.
No, number 2093 blue tape.
Oh, I see. I see where you're reading that.
Yeah. That's the label.
Yeah, but it's good beer. I'm enjoying that. The Spring Fling, it was a popular kit. A lot of people came and brewed it, and several people came in back and brewed it a second time. So
Good.
When I see that kind of
means
action,
they like it.
I'm like, oh, it's a pretty good beer. I should I make that part of the lineup. Trying
Yeah,
to
it's very
expand the
drinkable.
offering.
Yeah, it's very drinkable.
Yeah.
Cream ale. Spring Fling cream ale. What's the ABV on it? Do you know?
Originally, it's going to be probably in the 4.9.
4.5. 4.9. Okay.
4.9 range. I just wanted. I think the descriptor on that was, a beer so good you'll want to mow the lawn just to drink it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I wanted that, very easy drinking, dry finishing, crisp, light lager kind of beer. But I thought that the combination of lemon drop and Hallertauer Blanc was really tastes good.
It does. It's like the spice.
Yeah, I did a split batch of it with the Philly Sour strain, which is a yeast strain that produces lactic acid.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. And at one point during a tasting, I wish I could have stopped the, that yeast right there, like killed it off.
Right.
Because it was the lemon character was perfect. The sourness was right there. It tasted like Country Time 4.9% Country Time lemonade. Yeah, like Mike's Hard Lemonade without the heartburn kind of flavor profile.
Right.
So much fucking sugar in it.
Sugar and the. You think it's the malt liquor?
I think it's the sugar content, honestly. Just kind of tears me up. Same way with like cinnamon like Fireball whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that same shit.
After a minute, your belly's just like on fire.
Yeah, or I'll get all burpy in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not fun. I don't enjoy that. I'll stick to beer, thanks.
I'll do beer. So then you got
I don't get heartburn on beer.
Right. You've got the that lawnmower lemon, even a shanty style.
Yeah. Oh god, it would be good with a like half and half with lemonade.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic beer. I don't know why they sell it in 6-packs because they're all single serving. I mean, they're usually like 3.2%.
Yeah.
But they're good.
They are.
They won't make it home. I'm not advocating for drinking and driving.
Don't drink and drive,
But
folks.
You might park somewhere on the side of the road and drink
And then drink them all. And you won't even be over the limit.
That's right. It looks like
They're so low in ABV. Yeah.
I mean, if you do it fast
enough. I wonder if you can get in trouble for mowing the lawn in your own home for driving the lawnmower drunk.
Well, I mean, if you take it on the road, I know you can get a DUI riding a bicycle.
Yes.
Drunk.
Yep.
Technically, you could get it
right. So
in a wheelchair. I heard this one. Like you can get a DUI in a wheelchair. Like
that's not fair.
Yeah, I was like, good luck keeping your job if you try to prosecute that case.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if I'm doing my last lap on my lawnmower and I whip out and like barely on the sidewalk,
right.
Can I get in trouble?
Probably, the letter of the law
Is always up for interpretation.
Right. Well, somebody could be a dick and interpret it one
Well,
way.
look how you interpret Reinheitsgebot.
Is there a show where like this is episode 25? But have we made it through an entire episode without mentioning Reinheitsgebot?
I think we did. I think we did one episode.
One whole episode. If you know which episode that was or find it, tag us on
I'll buy you a
Facebook,
beer.
and I'll buy you a beer. That's right.
You got two
Find
beers.
An episode
You got
where we
two
don't
beers coming.
mention Reinheitsgebot. On your mark, get set, go.
Episode 14.
Episode 14. He thinks it is. If I
It looks like we're buying each other beer.
It could happen. We do it every week.
Yep.
I did bring a second beer. This one's a little bit older.
That means I need to slam this one.
Or we can, come
Give me
back to it.
give me
We can
energy.
Come back to it, but we do have a.
I'm easy drinking.
We do have a Scotch ale.
I mowed my lawn yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I did.
That's good. But I did bring a Scotch ale. This one
Sitting here drinking this one's pretty decent. When Scotch ale, I'm sorry.
Scotch ale we brewed. I don't have the brew date, but I know in February it was a year old in the bottle in February.
That sounds divine.
It's pretty good.
It is. It looks clear
It's
and
pretty good.
beautiful.
It's the Freedom Fighter Scotch ale at Northwest Brewer Supply.
Did you brew it?
Reed brewed it. I
Reed
believe.
did. Cool.
Yeah, former employee. And we did a 10-gallon batch. He got to take half of it home. We stuck the other half in the closet.
Good.
And I know it's there, and I know it's delicious, and it's really hard not to dip into the closet a lot. One of our customers brought in a fresh version of it. We got to drink them side by side, which was kind of exciting. Both really good, really good. The older one, I think, edges out in the side by side department.
All right.
So I'm excited to pop the top on that. It is not a lightweight beer. I think it's like 8.9.
Ooh. I better not slam this one then.
You'll feel it by the time we get to the Scotch ale. It's interesting. It does have the same. It is about the same color profile as
Right.
the Spring Fling we're drinking.
That means this show's going to be an hour, but really by the time the edits go down, it'll be a half hour.
Oh, that could happen. It's happened before. It'll happen again.
Maybe. Maybe. You know what I did?
What's that?
Threw in that extra beer 30 that day.
Oh, that's right. We did extend it.
Yep.
That's
See.
At the lost beer 30 episode from episode whatever the Kolsch episode was.
Yeah. I tried to include a little bit of some fun blooper humor. I think I did one last week.
I have not digested the first round of editing on last week's episode.
Yep.
It's on my list.
It's on the list. I thought it was funny. So,
Very good. I'll look forward to that.
little Andrew humor.
I'm going to pour this Freedom Fighter. Oh, man, that looks so good. We're talking rich, reddish mahogany.
Wow. That is a beauty.
That's a beautiful head right there. I'll wait for your glass to be empty. Oh, I can smell it. It's very malty. Little raisiny date kind of yumminess. There you go, sir. Ooh.
Pouring just nice. Look at that head on there. Fine carbonation. Poured a little hot.
Oh, but he caught it.
Yeah. Nice head.
It's a great picture. That's one for we got to take a picture of that one.
You could see there's a difference in the carbonation head on mine. There's like a level where the bubbles are big and small. Kind of how you poured it.
Yeah.
And then poured the bottle on top. The bubbles on
kind of
top.
shook the bottle right there at the end, or right before tapping it.
Yeah.
Well, and yours are lasting much longer. Mine are not.
It's because your beard.
Oh yeah, beards and mustaches are bad for
Yep.
phone.
Yep. And it gets on the glass. Yep. It's your product.
That's tasty.
1 year old Scotch
It's
ale.
a year old in the bottle. It's over a year old.
Smells
this is a beer.
great.
This beer we intend to brew
And this is called what?
twice a year. This is the Freedom Fighter Scotch Ale.
Freedom Fighter. Has a wonderful aroma.
We intend to brew this twice a year just so we can age it and try not to run out, because it is delicious. And this is at cellar temperature.
Wow.
58 degrees or so, whatever they keep the closet at. But it doesn't need refrigeration.
Probably warmed up a little bit. It's about 68 out degrees. 68,
it's pretty damn good. Like, I'm not,
It doesn't need to be cold.
It doesn't.
I know why.
Yeah. Cheers.
The English drink. Or the Scottish. Drink cellar beer. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, ice cold beer numbs the taste buds, so it masks a lot of crappy flavors.
Yeah.
And that might
I've got
just
that
be
little raisiny.
Yeah, it's like a raisiny date thing.
Raisiny date thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's very good.
Just this, it's so melded together. The flavor in there, mahogany. I mean, I try to come up with all these fancy.
Well, I get kind of like
with all these fancy, aromas and flavor characters.
I get like tanned leather kind of flavor kind of thing going on.
Because I know what tan leather tastes like.
Well, you can imagine it. Like, you've never eaten a horse blanket, but you've smelled one, and
right, like who is the cologne from Avon or something? It was like leather or something. I've got the aroma,
but I do get the oak profile, that little vanilla and oak kind of presence. It's set on oak in the keg, I think, for 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like a little oak in my beer.
Cool. What'd you do for the oak? Did you put it in a muslin sack, or just chips, or was it a spiral?
I think these ones were chips.
Cool.
The kit comes with oak chips.
Okay.
And I've done it in a sock. I've done it in a hop cage that you can throw in the keg, and I've done it just pitching it in. It all works.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll sink to the bottom of the fermenter.
Okay.
Once they get waterlogged, or beer logged, that is.
Beer logged. And then you can suck on them later.
You know what's cool to do with them? You can do it. Yeah. But also when they dry, throw them on your smoker.
Yeah. Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna get a Rausch beer.
Yeah. Well, you get a
smoked Rausch. Rausch barrel aged Rausch.
We got meat on there. Throw it in the smoker with there.
There you go.
A little extra flavor.
That sounds really good in a stout.
Oh, yeah. Making me thirsty.
I do
like smoked beers.
Yeah, I do too.
When they're done right. I've had some that were like licking ashtrays. They were so smoky.
Right. Another podcast. No, I think it's a Facebook site called Does It Smoke? And that's from Nate Bishop. And he does it.
I'm familiar with that one.
He tries to smoke anything, and he said he smoked water, and he goes, it's wonderful. You smoke some water, and then you make certain drinks with it.
It's like, how do you keep it lit?
I know. You got to do it in the rain.
Yeah. There you go. Well, so tonight's episode, we are kind of cutting through the fuzz. We're gonna break all the mirrors. We're gonna
smash
blow away
the myths.
smoke on beer.
Blow away the smoke. Gonna bring back the curtain.
There's a lot of myth and mystery in this little hobby, and tonight we're gonna bust it up. But before we do that, we do have to take a wee little break. We're gonna get some word from our sponsors, Northwest Brewer Supply.
Oh, we love our sponsor.
Oh, don't we though? I'm biased, but that doesn't make me wrong.
I mean, both beers for Beer 30 were from Northwest Brewer Supply.
So get one today. Available in extract or all grind brewing kits.
See, yeah, look at that. You're even doing a commercial before the commercial.
That's right.
That was just special call for the beer contribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
sit tight. We'll be right back.
This place feels off. That's because it's fermenting. Dark ales, stouts, and porters, all crafted to perfection with the equipment and guidance from Northwest Brewers Supply.
Fermenting? You mean this isn't some paranormal event?
Only if you consider perfect beer supernatural.
The answers you seek are brewing at Northwest Brewer Supply. Visit us in Burlington or at nwbrewers.com. Make your next beer your best beer.
Well, and we'll get right to it.
Let's
Because
do this.
we're getting right back to the beer craft here. The Beer Mystery program.
Right. Yeah.
This is a funny little hobby. There's things we understand about beer that maybe we learned from antiquity or because our parents said so or grandparents said so, but not all of these things are true. And number one on that list, probably the most common one I hear, is dark beers are strong. Sorry, don't know where this comes from. I don't know why. Beer looks like, just because it looks like motor oil, it must be a kick in the face.
Guinness is what, 4.2?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe they're thinking whiskey.
you're thinking whiskey right
maybe
now.
they're thinking it, yeah.
I mean, I love Guinness, and it tastes strong, but
it ain't.
It's not strong.
It's not. In fact, if you go to Ireland and get it there, it's like 3.8. It's
Wow.
even weaker in
good.
Ireland. Yeah.
It's delicious to drink.
They call it what? Black milk. It's so good.
The black monk.
Color in beer comes from roasted malts.
Roasted
not
malts?
the alcohol content.
No.
In fact, when you cook those grains, when you roast them to that color, all
They
of
don't
the sugars
contribute
fuck
to
off. It's the
anything.
the sugars. There's nothing left.
Nope.
It's just that.
It's just color. Color and body, feel, flavors. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're not also heavy because Guinness is dark, but it's a dry finishing beer. There's not a lot of malt backbone.
Nope. It's light body.
It doesn't weigh your tongue down while
Right.
you're drinking it.
It's
So,
lighter body. I think it's probably mashed low, and then
Yeah.
mashed, and then
Yeah, favoring
Thinner.
favoring fermentable sugars.
yep.
Yeah,
Pale.
I think a Belgian triple
Belgian triple. Yeah.
could be twice or three times the ABV.
Right, and it's light.
And they're blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
So
only
it's not the
Pilsner-
ABV
yeah,
that
Belgian Pilsner malt and
dark
lots of
doesn't
it.
dark
No.
doesn't mean get you drunk.
So when you hear that one, you can snicker to yourself with the
Right.
with the
Well,
bros at the bar.
I think
start
we're used.
talking about
I think we're used to these dark beers that we'll see like triple barrel aged.
imperial stout.
Yeah, 2 years, 3 years old imperial stout, and then they're 13%.
Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be.
9%. But that's where that perception I think comes from.
Yeah, another light style, the Schwartz beer.
Schwarz beer. Yeah, those are
It's a dark pilsner.
dark,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a pilsner that's black.
really good.
Yeah. Number 2, what do we got on the list there?
Do cans make beer taste metallic?
Ooh.
I mean,
I
it's a
think-
can. It's a metal can, right?
If you can taste metal, I don't think it's from the can.
Well, maybe it's your taste buds then.
It could be. So yeah, modern aluminum cans do have a liner on that prevents flavor contamination.
Yep.
There are contributing. There are phenols and there are problems with your beer that can leave a metallic taste, but it is not the can.
What is it?
So often those metallic tastes, they can actually come from metal. If your equipment, maybe you're using
Hard water.
or hard water. Yeah, certain water supplies can have a high iron content, which can affect your beer. I know getting started, I started brewing with a enamel 5-gallon canning pot, and that enamel eventually chipped off.
Yep.
And that was going to sound that way.
I don't want to sound that way. Yeah, I mean, beers that come in cans protect against light better.
Absolutely do. They're lighter weight. They don't shatter when you drop them.
Nope.
You can pack them up the top of the hill.
And then you recycle
back
them
down
out.
again, too, yeah.
Yep, pack them in, pack
Infinitely
them out.
recyclable. I love them. Canning, it's kind of it's a little bit more process for homebrewers, but it can be done.
Can be done.
Number 3 on the list.
Warm then cold is ruining my beer.
This one's a little. I'm gonna have to give this one like a quasi plausible. If it gets warm on the way home and then you chill it again, that's okay.
Warm and aged.
But warm can kill your beer too. There's
Yeah.
something called the 330, the 333 rule or the 330-300 rule, and it basically says the effects of heat if your beer spends 3 days at 72 degrees or above, it has the same oxidation deterioration as a beer that spent 300 days at 38 degrees, or 30 days at 68 degrees, or something like that. So heat does affect our beer, but not on the trip home.
Right. Not just because it warms up.
Yeah, and so part of that myth is, the warm beer turns skunky.
Right.
And that's not true either. That is not a function of heat. It is the function of UV exposure. Hop compounds in beer are sensitive to UV and will turn skunky.
Right.
Just like every Corona, Pacifico in a clear glass bottle, Heineken, Grolsch in green, anything in green or clear glass bottles, they have a tendency to taste a little skunky.
I think that's part of their flavor profile.
Well, it absolutely is at this point, especially Corona.
So.
Corona knows exactly their beer is skunky.
Right.
But that clear
That's
glass...
why they use clear glass.
That clear glass, it's part of the brand identity now. Yeah, can't do anything.
Well, I did go for a beer this week from Boneyard.
Oh, they got
the RPM IPA, and I got it from Freddie Meyer in the clearance section. A 6-pack just sitting in there. I'm like, what the heck? It was a couple bucks off.
Yeah.
And it was packaged. I noticed it was packaged a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a couple months. I don't know how long it was in the heat.
It's kind of it's why I'm not a fan of buying beer at Costco.
Right.
They do not refrigerate any of it. And they, an argument could be made that they're selling a significant volume. That pallet doesn't hang out very long. But again, we have
few days.
3 days.
Yep. And where it does sit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking Arizona, we talking California, we're talking Pennsylvania. You never know. So, I mean, this beer, the RPM turned out pretty good. Couldn't really tell. So it hadn't been sitting out very long. So it's a matter
It'd be
of
interesting to
of
do
temperature and the time.
Drink it side by side with the fresh one at the bar.
At the bar, Let me go. I'll bring one into the railroad.
Yeah.
See what they say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, or at the source. We'll just have to go to Oregon, I think.
Right. Hey, we'll just say we're doing a live podcast and we need to bring some.
Absolutely. They'll throw out the red carpet. It's got to happen. Number 4 in the beer Mythbusters.
Foam is bad.
Bullshit. I don't know who thinks that. Foam is not bad.
Did you pour it slow? You got so much foam in your beer today.
So there are all sorts of things, but I like foam. I like head in my beer. I think
you seem to spill everywhere all the time. You love it so much.
It is a theme. And maybe it's because I'm blind in one eye and I have no depth perception.
Oh, there you go. You can't see when the beer is rising. The level of the beer is rising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of, we want foam in our beer. It delivers aromatics to our face. All of our taste buds are tied to our sense of smell.
Yes.
So the foam literally is delivering those aromatics. If it smells good, it's going to taste good. Your brain's already like, oh, that smells good. This is going to be amazing.
Right.
And you're pre-primed for enjoyment.
Right. It makes for easier drinking too if you pour a little vigorous.
Well, and it's going to drive off some of that CO2, so you don't get a heavy gut bomb.
Right.
I saw a TikTok.
I love the burp though.
I saw a bunch of 22-year-old TikTokers. They'd get beer at a bar and they'd stick their finger in it and they'd just stir it to drive off the CO2 so they didn't get bubble gut. I'm like, what are you doing?
They might be seagulls. These might have been seagulls in the bar.
They had skinny necks.
They drink a beer. They can't burp or can't fart, so they gotta swirl their beer.
Well, it was mating season.
Yeah.
So,
me too.
20-year-old and
mine
can't fart in public, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Can't burp or fart in public. Yeah. Nowhere near their friends or family.
I think it's a shame when you go to a beer hall or beer tavern, and you're served a pint glass clear the top with no foam. I think it's a damn shame.
It's a damn ripoff.
Well, I think it's bad for the owner of the bar.
I don't think they'd ever do that though. I've never really seen a bar do that because
I've had it in craft breweries before.
Yeah, in craft breweries. But a lot of the
bars.
A lot of the German places serve in the proper glassware.
Yeah.
And the proper glassware will have a line up to where they serve the beer, and the rest is for foam.
And that
is perfect.
If they just did that, then it would dispel the mythos.
Right. But, we have a lot of people that really want to get their bang for their buck. They want every ounce that they pay for. When they go in and buy a $7 beer these days, I mean, that's $1 that they're missing out.
I hear you.
Do I want to spend $1 in foam? I can spend $7 in foam, or I can have me another beer.
But you're going to spend $7 either way, and if your beer is an inferior experience...
Well, it depends on what you feel like. Yeah.
Because there's no foam on there, I think
you may not,
could be made.
If you're willing to do that to save $1, you might not care. You know what I mean?
Whose dollar are you saving? Because it's really stealing $1 from the owner, right? Because that extra foam, that extra fill, is driving down the margins on that beer for that establishment. The
proper fill, I think, is a 16 ounce, and that's the deal. These glasses are 16s, and so in the U.S. here, all these bars fill up to the top because that's a 16.
It's a shit way to pour.
Yeah, if you go to like a pub or something, and even an English pub here, they'll have the larger glasses that they'll leave room.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the deal.
It's a bad beer. It's a bad beer experience. I'm not a fan. Number 8.
So you're really mad about the glassware.
Number 5. I probably am.
That's okay. IBUs.
IBUs, the first IBU myth. What do we got here?
Do they measure how bitter our beer tastes?
So here we go. This one's going to come up a couple times, I'm sure, today. IBUs are it's a lab measurement of bitterness units. It's how we measure, the impact of the hops that we're using.
Right. But now what if it's a fruity hazy IPA?
Well, it depends on how much you're putting in. What are you using? What else are you using with it? IBUs. I've had 70 IBU beers that taste like 35. I've had 35 IBU beers that taste like 75.
So how does it happen? How are we defining the alpha content in our beers?
So what we're doing, the IBU is a measure of the iso-alpha acid content, not the bitterness.
Not the bitterness.
It's a lab measurement to give us an idea as for the growers, for the brewers, to gauge the effectiveness or the bittering potential of the hop
of what we're
going to use.
Right, but now when we're just going to throw it in the
profile, your pH, your carbonation, your did you use a bunch of other strong flavored like roast malts? All of those things change your bitterness, not your IBU. So it's really kind of a balance game. I think a 40 IBU dry stout is going to taste more. It can taste more bitter than some 70 IBU hazy IPAs.
Right, really, because they're putting the IBU in. Yeah. They're putting the hops in at the fermenter.
Yeah, bitterness.
So they're not extracting the high alpha acids.
Yeah. So the bittering potential of a beer has less. Is kind of a lab measurement versus
IBU is the bittering potential.
A perception of bitterness that's very subjective to the drinker, to the ingredient, to everything.
It's very subjective to every different taste. Now, is there a way that we can measure our IBU after the fact? Are we sending this to a lab? As a home brewer,
probably could. I'm sure there are, to the degree that you need to. I mean, we're not, we're not putting it on a label. We don't have to adhere to labeling laws or anything like that.
Right.
But I'm sure you could if you didn't do the math ahead of time. You could send it to a lab and they could do an analysis.
But even our math is a myth.
But it's $30, and we're going to talk about that later, so don't spoil it. So next up, all lagers taste the same.
Yep, that's right.
If you're talking Bud Light, Coors, Miller Lite, maybe the case could be fine. I've seen some blind taste testing.
Tell this to a German Pils.
But line them up against the rest of the archetypes of the style, and man, you've got a lot of space to play with. From Oktoberfest to Dunkel, Schwarz beers. Oh my God, the list is long. Dortmunder Export. Oh, that beer.
I love Dortmunders.
I love Dabs. Yep. They're so good. So no, they don't taste all this. They don't all taste the same.
Cold fermentation, yields good flavors.
Clean flavors,
but not the identical flavors.
No,
that's gonna.
I mean, the most
that's gonna
popular
be
yeast. Everybody's using. Predominantly everybody's using 3470 or TUM 3470 yeast. It is the most popular yeast globally. But that's not to say that's the only. That may be the only similarity of 1,000.
the style range is wide.
Number 7. What do you got on your side?
The IPAs are always better. No, I mean bitter.
Always bitter. Well, I mean, it is a hallmark of the style is a bitterness. But some would say all IPAs might taste like pine needles, and
try a hazy.
Yep.
You'll get mango, not sap.
Yeah.
I love a good sappy beer. Nice Northwest piney IPA. Oh.
I think in terms of this myth that all IPAs are bitter, doesn't it take into account that the modern category for IPA now includes NEPAs, milkshake IPAs, brewed IPAs, all sorts of designer black IPAs, red IPAs, white IPAs, whatever
all these
single
milkshake
color
versions.
Yeah, and they all have a varying degree of bitterness. It's no longer 45 to 35 to 75 IBUs by style. Again, we're talking IBUs is a measurement of potential,
the
not
potential of whatever hop you're doing,
flavor.
And then, we don't know.
There's 25 IBU, or 10 IBU hazy IPAs.
Right, and dry hopping enhances the aromas and
but not
that bitterness.
Yeah, so not it's a different animal.
This is why I'd like to see if we could actually measure our bitterness. But I don't think we could.
Well, without some serious lab equipment. Yeah. Oh, was that all? Number 8. Now officially number 8. High ABV equals better beer.
Better beer. More booze.
More booze, more flavor.
Yeah. And less flavor if you're not careful. Just kind of like hot.
I see this one a lot. I get hot. A lot of people who only want to drink high ABV beers.
I like that. I mean,
there's certainly a time and a place for that.
I used to do mine at least 6.5. The normals, 6.5 to 7.
Yeah,
probably is what I would always end up around with my.
I think those high ABVs also have a tendency though to mask or overshadow some really delicate flavors. Imagine the crisp, beautiful Pilsner with floral aromatics that dance across your tongue at 4.5% to 5%. At 7%,
double the alcohol in there.
Tastes like it's not going to be as fun to drink.
Right. It's going to impart a different flavor.
Yeah, I think, and there's thousands of award-winning beers under 5%.
Oh yeah,
that's a reality
for sure.
Right.
For sure.
So it doesn't make them better. I think balance is the goal for everything.
It is.
So if we want a high ABV beer, we can do that. We're balancing all the flavor profiles, and it's a quality product, and we're enjoying it. And you really, really want to drink.
It has the right bitterness.
Yeah.
For the
high five,
for the beer.
That's great. Do that.
I love it.
Balance it all. So doesn't equal better. Is the point.
That's right. So number 9, beer before liquor always makes you sicker.
Is that science? That's science, right? I heard that one, right?
That's a nursery rhyme, Ben.
All right. Yeah.
Hangovers are usually caused by total alcohol, hydration, and speed.
Yeah, that's not that. Yeah, it's don't drink so much. If you got a problem,
don't drink so fast.
Don't drink it so fast.
Don't drink so much.
Drink some water in between.
Yes, and drink
all
water.
These things will help.
And drink water at the end of the night.
Mixing doesn't inherently cause sickness. I think drinking wine, beer, seltzers,
drinking a lot of different stuff could really contribute to.
Well. There you said it. You said a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
The implication is you drank a lot.
A lot of different things.
Yeah.
You mixed a lot in your belly.
Drink and a whiskey drink and a vodka drink and a, how's the lyrics of that song go? It's a 3-minute song. And he's already had 4 fucking drinks.
Liquor. I mean, whiskey's quicker.
Yeah.
No.
The amount of alcohol in each of those, a measured pour, 1.5 ounces of straight.
I mean, if I drink a beer,
it's the same as 6 ounces of wine.
I can throw down a double shot of whiskey.
Oh, I know how to.
Or I mean,
Yeah.
if I drank a double shot of whiskey, I could definitely follow it up with a nice beer.
No problem.
Sometimes I'm double-fisted. I'm maybe double-fisted a lot.
So if you're worried about if you're worried about getting sick from drinking, take a look at how much you're drinking.
And
I think is the point.
Yeah. How much? Like how many things? How many different liquors you're drinking?
You know,
That can contribute.
in 3.5 minutes, it's fine.
I love it.
Number 10, beer should be served ice cold because colder equals better.
You're numbing that flavor.
Quite literally.
I mean, it's frozen.
Well, we drank one tonight. This was room temp or car temp.
Right.
Scotch ale.
Coors Light's going to be better drank frozen.
That's
Dang
because
near.
I think if you ever had
the-
one
from
when
the
it warms
Rockies?
up, have you ever had a Coors Light when it warms up?
It's horrible.
It's
Would-
my god, it's
Would
bad.
you ever?
Oh no, never. Not even.
I
on
mean,
a
you're gonna
dare.
drink. You're gonna leave a half of a beer as soon as it warms up a little bit.
Yeah, all it's good for is putting your cigarette out.
Oh, that's the worst.
So yes, the cold temperature does numb your taste buds.
Now I got to go empty that can, and
Yeah.
cigarettes fall out of it.
You know what? You always you see this one a lot. You see ice cold, like the frosty mug coming out of the cooler,
yep.
out of the freezer. at
Talked
the
about
tap
this one before.
Yeah, it's bad for your beer. It's
Yep.
bad for your.
Don't let the
foam.
bar do that either.
Yeah. Don't
If the bar does it, just ask them to pull out a mug for you.
Yeah.
Let it sit for a while.
Cellar temperatures on an English cask is like 55 degrees.
Yeah, delicious.
Yum.
It doesn't need any the cold.
No.
Nothing.
If your beer tastes good warm, you've got a quality beer.
Yes.
If it only tastes good cold, I think that is a problem.
Right.
I think you should do something about that.
That's no myth.
It's not a myth.
That's no myth. hey, there's no myth.
Oh, this one I hate to hear. This one.
Myth.
Homebrew is low quality beer.
Oh, who have you heard that from before?
Nobody I associate with. I can tell you that much.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Only people who get shot in the face. Bother your time with that. No, there is, and maybe some, people grew up with homebrewers that maybe weren't as clean in their process or diligent in their learning the craft, and some of those beers could be bad, but those beers are usually tuition on the way to greatness. To lump all homebrew into this, that's inferior. These guys don't know what they're doing.
We can't do that.
That's bullshit.
That's wrong.
In my tenure, I've been working in the shop going on just over 9 years now. I've been brewing for 14 years. The knowledge base of the average home brewer has grown exponentially in that time.
Yep.
I think we are much smarter consumers. We're much smarter brewers.
We have more available to do our craft with.
Oh God! If you
Yep.
think you look at what would have been on the shelf in the 70s when homebrewing
What
was
Charlie
legal.
was starting with.
Oh my! You had nothing.
Right.
For years you couldn't even. Certain years you couldn't even get hops to save your life. There's a whole industry backing us up now. Like the homebrew it's a whole thing, and it's amazing what you can do with it. I think the fact that so many pro brewers came from home brewers.
That's cool.
If it was all shit, then how did these guys
That
get
is a
jobs?
super cool industry.
Yeah.
That is a super cool industry when we can come from a hobby and get into the pro level.
Right.
My favorite, speaking about this and how good homebrew is, my favorite time of the year is beer stock 50-60.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's in Washington.
Yeah.
That is where the beer, it's a
That's a
homebrew
homebrew.
beer
Oh.
festival, and it is for the homebrew clubs of Washington State. They all get together in one place, have a Saturday night beer fest. It's a donation. You donate to the local homebrew
we're
coordinators or whatever.
This could be considered advertising. Technically, we're not allowed to advertise for this event.
Oh, okay.
But
wow.
it is a great event. If you are
No, I was
into
just saying
homebrew,
it's one of my favorites.
get into a homebrew club and get your butt to make sure they're going to beer stock in
Yep.
August.
Because what happens is everybody brings their craft, and you can go around and taste some of the most amazing beers ever.
Oh yeah, because usually there's 16 homebrew clubs with at least 6. Like the median tap list is six
at
beers
least.
deep.
At
6
least.
times 16
Yeah.
is a number. It's far more than you can drink in a single sitting.
Beer stock. Go. Don't miss it. I know it.
Going this year.
Let's go. We're going this year.
All right. Number 12.
Yep. You always need secondary fermentation.
Oh, yeah. Transfer to secondary. It's ruined.
Or it's just oxygenated.
Yeah. Every time we open that lid, we are increasing the vector for contamination, for oxidation, for downstream problems. If you don't have to do it, don't do it. I need a pretty compelling reason to open the fermenter and transfer it into a secondary.
There are breweries out there that the beer, the wort and the beer never see oxygen.
Absolutely.
At all.
Closed loop systems.
Until you drink it.
Closed loop systems are the commonplace in production levels. Oxidation not only will make your beer cardboard flavored, your hops deteriorate rapidly. If you've ever had an IPA sitting in your kegerator and that was bright and shiny, and then 2 weeks later the hops like fucked off on vacation, oxygen is the reason.
You got oxygen. Yep.
That is number one with a bullet.
Oxygen kills everything.
Yeah. So single vessel fermentation, if you can swing it. Secondaries do increase that risk every time you open it. If you're unless you're doing like a bulk aging, like something you're gonna sit on, say oak or fruit, or in a barrel for a long time, those secondaries or the barrel itself could be considered your secondary. Those styles that you're doing with those generally stand up to the oxidation. They're not hot bombs for one thing, and the style profile can handle that. There's enough other flavors to mask the oxidative effects.
Nice. So remember that the next time you want to barrel age something.
Yeah.
It's not about that. I mean, you need to keep the oxygen out of there.
Well, the barrel is going to breathe.
Yeah. And it'll purge with CO2 pretty soon. Purge it.
Yeah.
Purge it at first. All right, number 13. Dry yeast is inferior.
Oh man, this one probably comes to us from like the 70s. The homebrewing marketplace has matured. It's now 2025. It's been legal since 1978.
We have a lot of choices.
That's a lot of, that's what, 46 years? How old am I? That's fucking same age.
I go to Northwest Brewer Supply, and I walk in the door, and they have a whole refrigerator full of these.
Yeah, we got liquid strains, we got dry strains. Modern dry yeast is clean, stable, it's consistent. It is not the stuff, it's not the old stuff sitting in a sachet for 10,000 years.
Right. It's got a long shelf life.
It is great.
Stable. Easy to store.
And there are more strains every year in dry yeast.
That's great.
So many of the strains that we love, not all of the strains of beer yeast that are really popular will survive the process, the desiccation, freeze drying, all that, stuff to get it shelf stable. Not all of them survive that. Some of these yeasts, particularly beer yeasts, are kind of picky little prima donnas. They're delicate. They only like certain temperatures, and then just everything has to be such perfect.
They're special.
They're not super robust compared to the average wine yeast or a whiskey yeast or something else like that. But there's more research being done on dry yeast every year. Some cool new strains come out every year in dry that you just couldn't get any other way, other than liquid. So I can't say that they're bad. They're fantastic. I've used a bunch of them. I've never had a bad experience that I can contribute to, whatever yeast I bought.
Right.
Other than expired yeast. If you have a bad experience, check the date on your yeast. That's probably a better signal than whether it was liquid or
Now,
dry.
what happens if we have a yeast pack that was in the fridge for 6 months, 8 months?
What, a liquid yeast?
No, dry yeast.
Dry yeast depends on which 6 months. Was it the 6 months at the beginning of its life cycle or the tail end of its life cycle?
Tail end.
The tail end of that life cycle, yeah, you're going to get, if it's at the last 6 months, there might be some qualitative or performance issues, but I think it'll still, if it's within a range, it
Can we
should still
make
be
a
good.
Starter?
Modern dry yeast, you can make starters with. That was not something we could do forever. The technology, the health of those yeasts didn't always stand up to that process. But nowadays, they're just like, do it. And probably for the last 10 years, I've been like, yeah,
Starters
totally
are cool.
Great.
Do it.
Starter cool. Number 14.
Room temp equals fermentation temp. My room is 68. It's fine.
The fermenter isn't.
So here's the deal. The temperature-controlled fermentation is the 5th ingredient in beer. I'll say that again. Fermentation temperature control is the 5th ingredient. Right? I've got barley, water, hops, and yeast, and temperature control. If your goal is to make the same beer over and over again and have it taste good every time, temperature control is the only way.
That's what you need.
Your room temperature may be stable at 68 degrees,
but the fermenter isn't.
The rate of change in that, the fermenter in that space is very different.
Fermentation generates heat.
It's a
like little yeast guys in there working. They're sweating their ass off in there working for you.
Count on that fermenter being 4 degrees above ambient.
Yep.
So if your yeast makes off flavors at 68 degrees and your room is at 68 degrees, guess what? You're at 74. You're making bananas.
Yeah.
Banana bread. Beer.
Nanners.
Yeah.
Nanners. Well, use a temperature probe for accuracy too.
Take the beer's temperature, not the ambient.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your probe. You can get depends on what kind of fermenters you're using. You can buy a little what is it called? A well?
A thermal well.
Thermal well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it.
Slide that little deal down in
there. Sealed off tube that you stick.
Because you want to measure the center of your column.
Right.
Yep.
We actually use an analog device rather than trying to clean up the thermal well every time. We have a thermal well in a growler full of water, so that's our beer surrogate. It's not exactly as accurate because it's only half a gallon versus 5 gallons, but it's closer to the beer's temperature than the ambient was, and that's worked out pretty good for us.
Nice.
Okay, number 15. All sour beers are extremely tart. One sip and your face caves in, maybe.
Only if you're drinking battery acid.
Berliner Weiss.
They're tart.
Yeah, we talked about some sours. We talked about a couple of weeks ago. Berliner Weiss, those guys are soft. They're approachable.
Right, fruited sours. They're maybe more sweet than sour.
Right.
Or
no more sour than maybe
sweet and tart.
No more sour than average wine.
Right.
In terms of total pH.
Right. It's not bad.
Yeah, and some of those Bretts are more funky than acetic.
Yeah, we talked about all this in our sour episode.
So you should check that episode, Sour Beers 101.
We still got the Berliner Weiss episode coming.
Yeah, I just got some lactobacillus in the shop yesterday, so I think we're gonna brew that in like 2 weeks.
Scheduling a brew day right now.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's good. All right, number 16. Canned beer is always cheaper.
Canned beer. Does that equal budget beer?
Budget beer? You ever tried a Trillium Deepa?
That's not a cheap beer.
No.
That is not a cheap beer at all. So canning equipment is really expensive. If you're a small brewery, that is going to add to your footprint in the brew house. It add to the capital investment in there.
Yep.
And somebody's got to pay for that.
Well, it's often sold in cans. I mean, we talked about cans last week or the week before, where we had a couple of our Beer 30 beers in the cans.
Yeah.
And they use the plain aluminum with a sleeve.
Sure. Which shaves some cost versus trying to get that aluminum printed on.
Right. And storage space.
Most of the aluminum comes out of Canada right now, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's a 25% tariff on all that export stuff. So.
Did we walk? That might have walked back a little bit. I think they're working us out.
Maybe.
So pretty good for us.
Hopefully, by the time this airs, it'll be better. But
well, hopefully, Canada. Maybe Canada will.
The point is that packaging solutions do not equate to quality or price. I've had very expensive canned beers. I've had cheap. I've had cheap bottle beers.
Yep, cheap bottles.
It's a function of the market. It's a function of the beer, the ingredients that went in, the labor.
Type of beer, maybe what it's packaged in.
Right. If it's a barrel aged, if it's barrel aged and you had to sit on it for 3 years before you can make $1 on it, that's going to drive the price up, regardless of the package you put it in.
Huge.
Yeah.
All right.
Beer is
bad for you? God, who the fuck told you that?
It's just empty calories, right?
I don't think I like your opinion on that. Empty calories. I think moderate consumption.
I think they're
moderate
pretty
consumption
full.
of beer and wine has a measured cardiovascular benefit in moderation.
In moderation. Well, it contains B vitamins, antioxidants.
Probiotics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of vitamin B from yeast.
Well, maybe it just comes from if you drink in excess.
I remember in college drinking 18 packs at a time. Maybe that wasn't a good idea.
You're in college.
I was still learning.
You were learning. You needed that as a learning aid.
That was tuition, right? Right.
Tuition. All right, 18. Draft beer is always better.
Draft is fresher.
Well, if they clean the lines.
Oh, there's the whole thing right there. You may
now
have
we
the
got it.
freshest freaking beer straight from the brewery. Put it on your system.
The best.
Pour that pipe through hoses that haven't been cleaned in a freaking decade.
Just change the keg out, would you? Put it on line 4.
God. If you get diacetyl in your beer, the most common cause of diacetyl, that buttery popcorn kind of shitty flavor, is goddamn dirty beer lines.
I've seen it like drip out of beer lines.
Ugh.
Like when's the last time you cleaned these?
I had a guy bring me his draft setup, his tower and hoses, and he says, "Do I need to change these?" And it was a visible buildup layer. Like the line was yellow on the brown on the exterior, but like a yellow ring on the interior diameter. And like the buildup layer was like a visible 1/4 mil of schmaltz.
Wow.
Oh, yes, you need to clean your fucking beer lines.
It's tan and thick.
Oh, it's tan on the outside. It's
like creamy white.
Oh, I bet his beer tastes like shit.
You should be able to tell that right away.
So yeah, the cleanliness of your lines, your stout faucets. If you are not cleaning your lines every 2 weeks, and this doesn't matter if you're pouring 1 beer in 2 weeks or 20,000 beers in 2 weeks, you should probably be cleaning those lines every 2 weeks. The faucet itself, clean that every single week. That can get an amazing amount of buildup. There's quite a bit of hardware in there to trap particulates, and
it's easy.
Yeah,
you don't have to take it
apart,
all off.
Take it and rinse it out really good. Once a week, really, really good. Draft maintenance is going to make for better tasting beers every single time.
I love it. Beer shouldn't have sediment?
Well, that depends, really. Bottle conditioned beers always have sediment.
Always.
We count on a certain amount of yeast going into the bottle with priming sugar to give us the
flavor,
to eat the sugar, to make the bubbles that we trap in there with the cap. At some point, they're going to go to bed and they're going to settle on the bottom. All bottle conditioned beers, yeasts, hops, and polyphenols, those can all hang out in your beer
flavors
and make. They are responsible for the flavors that you're getting, and say like your hazy IPAs. Some of those can participate as solids. That's not exactly a fault all the time. Sometimes it's just a byproduct of the fact that they beat that beer over the head with 3 pounds of hops per gallon of beer.
Right. Now it's all got to settle out somewhere.
Because you asked them to, because your appetite for hoppy and newfangled beers demanded it of the industry. And so what are we going to do? We get a, sometimes we're going to get a little materia in there, and that's okay.
So be careful of it.
Belgian
Be aware of it.
Belgian ales will do that too, and those ones are 300-year-old styles.
Right.
400-year-old, 3,000. I don't know.
Yeah. So when you buy a barrel, when you buy a big bottle or a cage bottle, be aware of. Sometimes you have to pour a little bit out and then put the lid back down and roll it around.
Well, that's the classic. That's the classic pouring technique for Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
Because we want that haze, to.
I almost thought you were going to say Shinerbach.
Does that have a?
No, I don't think so.
Pouring protocol that I'm not aware of?
Just came into my head.
Number 20, sir. What do we got?
Number 20. Craft beer equals weird ingredients.
I mean, everything barrel aged. You've got a barrel aged with koji barrel,
Sometimes just a Pilsner.
Right. Okay. Yes, craft will tend to push the envelope. Home brewers were doing it first and longer and better anyways. But that doesn't always mean weird things.
Because weird isn't the rule.
It's just
a lane.
It's one lane.
One lane.
On the freeway.
That's
there
right.
are craft brews that are uber traditional, like only 300-year-old recipes that conform to a silly piece of a 300-word document written in a foreign language that is only applicable in a postage stamp size area smaller than the state of Delaware. There's that lane, and then there's the guys that like what's that? And speaking of Delaware, what's that brewery out there? Dogfish Head. Absolutely, they're gonna do some weird.
They
cool
do some
things.
weird things.
That
tasted their
remember
beers.
that Chicha beer,
Yep.
the corn, where they had the whole team like
spitting in there?
chew and spit corn into a bucket for
the
a week?
enzymes. Yep.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm not sure if I had that beer though.
I didn't either.
I had a couple others.
Remember Rogue Brewery had that
the yeast, yes,
the beer
Yep,
yeast.
Yep.
But those are extremes on either end. Everybody else in the middle is probably just making fucking beer with barley, water, hops, yeast.
Definitely the weird lane.
Yeah, not exactly.
Definitely the weird lane.
I think clean, balanced beer, that is going to be the major part of the craft scene. Wherever you go.
Yep. It's got to be. So,
Number 21.
21. Here we go. Here we are,
We
folks.
mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we're going to drill it home today. IBUs are a lie.
IBUs measurements, and they measure the taste, right?
So the myth is IBU measurements are accurate for taste. Bullshit. I say IBUs are a lie in terms of the taste department. We talked about it earlier. IBU is a lab measurement.
Can you taste
not a sensory.
bitter? Can
Yes,
you
can taste bitter. Tasting bitter was not the question.
Is bitter a function of perception?
Absolutely. This is so subjective. This is up there with hot sauce. It's up there with whether you like mushrooms or not. Like, it's so subjective. There are those who can tolerate a lot of hot sauce and those who will not even sit next to the bottle.
My daughter, she's like, Dad, I know you put some pepper in this. I can taste it. I put like 3 flakes in there. Just to try to get her used to it.
Bitterness is the same thing. So we talked about IBUs being a lab measurement for bitterness potential so that we as brewers can make a better decision about our beer. But the reality of it is
all these other things
that the calculus to determine like how bitter a beer is to give us that number. There's a couple of different ones. There's IBU, there's Ranger, Tinseth, and Mori calculus. Each one's a little bit different formula, but all of them produce a number. And that number doesn't tell us much in terms of bitterness because none of the math to produce that number asked a very simple question. None of it accounted for the age of the hops and the storage condition of those hops. And right off the top, we know it is a fact that hops deteriorate with heat, with oxygen exposure, and how long ago it was picked. And none of the calculus to produce the IBU number that you're going to see on the can even took that into effect. Case in point, if you go take a brewery tour tomorrow and you get to go behind the curtain and you get to peek into the mash tun and maybe drink some beer right off the tap. That's kind of fun to do.
Go into the freezer.
Go into the cold storage, into the freezer. You're gonna see something. You're gonna see bags of hops, like 11 or 22 or 44-pound bags of hops that have been opened
and
just
sitting there.
Yeah. Just it's gonna be rolled up.
You rolled up.
But it's going to be about a 50-50.
Most of them are going to roll
I've done
up.
a lot of brewery tours, and it's about a 50-50 rate between brewers who just roll up the bag and brewers who tape up the bag. It's still rolled. It's still exposed to oxygen. It's still sitting there in that environment. And none of that matters on the IBU scale. Never mind. Second case in point on IBUs being a total fucking lie. It's subjective. There are people who can tell the difference between 65, 75, 85, and 100 IBUs.
So
There's super tasters out there. But for you and I and the rest of the
it's subjective
population,
to yourself, to your taste.
Most people top out at 65 IBUs. Anything north of 65, you can't tell the difference. Your palate's not as sensitive as some of these super tasters. That's fine. That's not going to make the beer bad. It's just the number doesn't matter anymore.
This sounds like a great episode.
A whole episode on
on bitterness perception.
Yeah.
And we'll bring in a whole bunch of different beer tastings.
Well, then I'll save the rest
IBUs.
of my commentary for that day. I don't want to
We
preach
should.
the whole thing. So IBUs, trust your taste buds.
Yes.
Not the label. If it is not too bitter, if you find it a quality beverage that does not, pucker your face,
Go for it again.
drink another one.
Drink another one. Yeah, and if you like the lower bitterness ones, I mean the hazy IPAs.
12 IBU IPAs, or I used to joke Budweiser showed a picture of hops to their beer, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean they've got it in
They're
they're like
something.
13 IBUs,
Yeah.
or something like that. We just can't. IBUs are a useful marketing tool. They're a useful indicator of a possible. This one's gonna 70 IBUs probably gonna be a little bit more bitter than 30, and if you're really, really sensitive, like you're in the I can't handle hot sauce or I can't handle
Yep.
hop
You want
bitterness,
a low?
that's okay. It gives you an idea.
Yep.
But to hang your hat on it as the God's gospel truth of all things bitter,
It's all subjective.
man, that's a wide open territory.
Just like the flavor of beer. I mean, everybody has a different flavor of beer that they love. So everybody has their favorite
my
beer.
My favorite beer is cold and in my hand.
Cold. Oh,
But not
speaking
even
of
that
which,
cold.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't even have to be that cold.
Oh.
In my hand is
Here,
I
let
have
me
an
share a
empty
little
beer.
bit of my beer.
Oh,
30 with
you're
you.
a swell guy. Oh, thank you.
Cheers, Ben.
Cheers. That's good.
That
Andrew,
is so
do you
delicious.
have more to say on beer myths?
I think I think we've cracked them all.
I've run out of things to say.
We've run out of myths to bust.
Well, thank you all for joining us on another episode of The Beer Craft. We will be back in the studio next week.
Next
recording
week.
something awesome. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Stick
Keep
around.
keep on giving us the love on the social medias and everywhere you find your podcasts.
Cheers, my friends, and thank you for joining us on
The Beer Craft.